Running for office is just speed dating for power, with worse pickup lines and more flags. Anonymous. All right. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Liberty Dad podcast, a discussion on politics and culture. I'm your host, DL, America's most objective libertarian. If you're tuning in live, thank you so much for giving me your time so early. All right. This morning, we're going to do things a little differently today. Normally, I might have some sort of bill review or some culture issue to talk about or what have you. I could always go on and on and on about the people being deported, particularly Abrego Garcia, which is, like we can't stop talking about that. We can't stop talking about Douglas Murray and Dave Smith. There's all kind of things to talk about, but we're going to take a break from all of that. And we're going to bring on a guest today. First guest that is not a dad. Well, he might be a dad, but not on the Dad Talk series. Doing an interview today. I'm going to bring on Vic Kaplan, and we're going to discuss his run for New Jersey governor. So this is exciting. Let's give a nice warm welcome to Vic as he joins us here on the show. All right, Vic, good morning. I got you muted. Give me just a second. I think you have to hit that mute button. Maybe I can. I don't know.
No, I got it.
Perfect. All right. Good morning, Vic. How are you?
Great. Thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. So let's dive right in. Introduce yourself and tell us what motivated you to run for office.
Great. Absolutely. So, again, I'm Vic Kaplan, and I've a little bit more about myself. So I did run last year for Congress in New Jersey, and I got the second highest number of votes percentage-wise among the 7 Libertarian candidates that ran for Congress. What motivated me to run was that I saw what is happening in New Jersey over the last few decades, and I see things are not getting any better. Whether there is a Republican or a Democratic governor, you have more people leaving the state. The cost of living has been increasing. So I decided to throw my hat into the ring to offer the voters of New Jersey some of the solutions to the problems they face. And I believe that my proposals are a lot better than what the Republicans and Democrats have to offer, because I believe that my proposals are the ones that will greatly improve the lives of the people of New Jersey.
Uh-oh. Do we lose him? Oh, there he is. Okay. Sometimes Rumble acts a little wonky, but we'll get around it. No worries. Okay, awesome. So, tell me a little bit about, since I'm in Florida, as you probably know, so I don't know much about New Jersey politics. So, kind of tell me, is it the same rationale that's motivating you to run now that motivated you to run in your past campaign, or was that just kind of getting your feet wet? Kind of like, why do you want to be a politician?
Sure, absolutely. Well, last year I ran for Congress because I was motivated by what was happening overseas,
Okay.
specifically what was happening in Gaza. I threw my head into the ring because for years I have been staunchly anti-war,
Hmm.
and I've always I opposed every war, from the war in Afghanistan. Actually, even before that, the bombing of Yugoslavia. I opposed that war, every single war from that period of time, to all the current wars, including the war in Ukraine.
Hmm.
So, and I'm somebody who is originally from Ukraine. I was born in Ukraine, and my motivation, one of my motivations for running, is to uh, see what I can do to make sure that the United States, well, specifically the state of New Jersey, is not turning into more like the country that I have left. And I understand that you had Bruno Pereira on before, and he is my pick for lieutenant governor. He's also someone who was born in.
Uh-oh. Say that one more time.
There's one thing.
Your feed seems to be
Sorry,
dropping
I
in and out a
apologize.
little bit.
Okay, so uh, my motivation is that since I was not born in the United States, and neither has Bruno Pereira, my pick for lieutenant governor, I
Mhm.
think both of us can see what is happening in the United States and also in New Jersey. In that, unfortunately, the places where we live are turning more into the places that we have left, and certainly we do not want to see, on my end, United States become more like Ukraine, and I'm sure on his end, the United States become more like Portugal. So that is another motivation for running. We see in the state of New Jersey, the cost of living has been increasing, the cost of housing has been increasing,
Mhm.
and my motivation for running is that I believe that I have the solutions and the proposals that will make housing more affordable, will make healthcare more affordable, not only without raising taxes, but
Mhm.
also where in the end of the day, we can live without the state income tax and the state sales tax. And if it's possible to do that in New Hampshire, it is possible to achieve that in New Jersey.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, so let me ask you then, just kind of because I'm curious. I know states vary. Did you just decide to run and then you put your name out there, or does the New Jersey Libertarian Party, do they vote for their particular state level candidates? Like, how does that process come about?
Sure. Yes, there was a convention in New Jersey of the Libertarian Party, and this is where I was nominated at the convention. Now, so my goal was to basically have a candidate that I can vote for governor who would represent the libertarian ideals, libertarian platform, and I believe that I more than anyone else can represent that. I did not want to have a candidate for governor or any other office who does not stand with our platform. And going back to last year, I know I'm kind of referring back to last year. This is one of the reasons why I could never support RFK for president, because of his stances that are just not in line with our platform. But in terms of New Jersey, I can talk about some of the issues that people are concerned about. Certainly, the cost of the cost of housing, as I said, is important for a lot of people. The property taxes, that's another big issue in the state of New Jersey. And over the last year and this year, the topic of immigration has been very important due to the ICE raids in the state of New Jersey. And this is something that is a federal issue, but I very much support the United States Constitution.
Mhm.
And my stance is that if I'm elected governor of New Jersey and ICE comes to the state of New Jersey, I will use the National Guard to arrest the ICE agents and deport them out of state to Washington, D.C. That is my stance, and my stance is in line with the U.S. Constitution. The
Mhm.
U.S. Constitution does not mention immigration, and therefore the jurisdiction over immigration should not be in the hands of the federal government. If someone can find me the words immigration in the Constitution, um, I have not seen anyone being able to do that. The most thing that people are trying to say is that there's a word invasion, but clearly I'm not an invader, and my ancestors, well, certainly anyone's watching this, your ancestors were not invaders. And
Right.
clearly, invasion has to do with military invasion, has nothing to do with immigrants coming to the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States gave the federal government jurisdiction over immigration after it reviewed the Chinese Exclusion Act. But even the Supreme Court back then made it very clear that they could not find jurisdiction over immigration for the federal government. They clearly said it's not there. It didn't matter for the Supreme Court. They said, well, we still believe it should be under federal control. Well, I don't go with that, right? The U.S. Constitution does not give the federal government the power to control immigration, and so I'm going to enforce the U.S. Constitution as governor of New Jersey, and I will deport ICE agents. It's time to tell the federal government to butt out when it's violating the Constitution and violating the rights of the American people.
Gotcha. Okay, so so I'm going to assume then you mentioned immigration, you mentioned taxes, and then I'm sorry, you said a third one and I just didn't catch it. What was that
Yeah.
third item?
So I would say, yes, I would say the cost of housing is important
Okay.
in the state of New Jersey. The cost of housing has been increasing. One of the reasons, of course, that we are so close to New York City, but another reason, of course, is that there have been people moving from New York City to New Jersey because the cost of living in New Jersey is actually less than in New York City. The cost of housing is cheaper in New Jersey than in New York City. Well, I have a very simple solution. I look at the campaigns of other candidates for governor, including Republican and Democratic ones, and none of them are offering what I'm offering, which is that I support legalizing small homes, make homes legal in the state of New Jersey. We have a company called Boxables that are selling houses for as low as $30,000. Why can't we have that in New Jersey? Why not just Boxables, other companies legalize all small homes, make legalize freedom. That's what I stand for, so that we don't have to deal with the rising cost of housing where people can't afford it and then leave New Jersey. This is something that we have seen for decades now. People are leaving New Jersey because they cannot afford the cost of housing. Why cannot we make it easy for people who cannot afford these really expensive houses for which the costs are going through the roof?
Is that
So
the
that
only
is
cause? Is that the only cause? I don't mean to interrupt. Is that the only
sure.
cause when it comes to the affordability issue with homes? Is that you just not permitted, or are there other things that you think you could do as a governor?
So there are, yes, well, there are other issues. So there are actual restrictions on a state level when it comes to building smaller homes. So this is something on a state level that I would like to get rid of. But there are definitely restrictions on a state level when it comes to small homes. You have to get permissions. I would make it legal in the state of New Jersey. I would not. I would make it available so that anyone who would like to order a small home, would be able to have that, and they would be able to have it built with no restrictions coming from the state government. So I would make it legal. I think this is very important. Like I said, people of New Jersey are having more and more of a hard time affording houses, and the cost on them are going up. So I would do what I can to make it legal. I don't
Gotcha.
see Republicans or Democrats offering anything like that. I'm the only candidate who does, and so I would definitely go with my plan.
Mhm.
If you would like me to talk about other topics, I would love to do that as well.
Sure, absolutely. I do have one quick question before we move on. What constitutes a small home? What is that? What's the definition, or kind of the range of definition?
Right. So when it comes to small home, I would consider homes that are probably have one bedroom, two bedroom homes. I would
Okay.
consider them to be small homes. The reality is that, and I mentioned the company, the Boxables. I understand that when it comes to that particular company, when it comes to the homes that they make, that you always have to get permission within each state whether they would allow you to have one.
Mm,
And I just want to get rid of those restrictions and allow anyone who wants to have one to have one.
okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Let's move on. You mentioned taxes. Let's talk. What is your plan for taxes?
Sure, absolutely. So I support getting rid of state income tax within 3 years. Any program that is funded by the state income tax, I would like to offer to the local governments, to the county and local governments, to take the responsibility for those programs. If they believe they're not necessary, then they will obviously disappear. And if the private organizations do not want to take up that responsibility, then they would be no more. But I would, in line with my support of decentralization, do exactly that. I would want to have the local governments, county and local governments, take up the responsibility for what is the state government is currently doing. In line with that, I support the abolition of the state police and providing those functions to the county and local police. There's no need for the state police in the state of New Jersey. Plus, we're definitely going to save a lot of money by not having it. But while that is the case, I also want to make sure that people who are in need, people who cannot provide for themselves, people who are on disability, that they should be taken care of. So I don't want to just turn off the light. That is something that the people on the federal level have been accused of through Medicaid cuts. So people who cannot take care of themselves, people who are on disability, I would have a process where they're provided aid, whether it's on a local level or whether it is on a private level. But I want to make sure that people who cannot take care of themselves are being taken care of.
Gotcha. So we've got a couple questions in here in the chat, excuse me, related to public schooling. Let's see, where did that one go? There it is. Joe asked, what is the cost per student per year for students in public schools? Do you have do you happen to know that off the top of your head, or have, and then also what plan do you have, or if any, for education?
Right. Yes. So I believe it's somewhere in the round of probably over $30,000, if I'm not mistaken. So that does cost a lot of money. So my goal would be to, when it comes to the education, to give students, to offer parents school choice. So I would want to definitely get rid on a state level, not have the Department of Education, and have the municipalities, people on a local level, make decisions as far as what curriculum they like to have when it comes to public schools. And certainly, I believe that my support for getting rid of the state income tax would also reduce the property taxes for people who live in New Jersey, which would then mean that they would have more money in their pockets if they want to have, say, private schools, have more private schools operate. And I think we have more private schools, we have more charter schools that would open up more possibilities when it comes to school choice. But I definitely think that the current system just is not working. In the past, I have been a supporter of an equal funding formula proposal by former State Senator Mike Doherty, who believed in equalizing the amount of money that the state is spending per student. And I looked at his plan, and what it meant was that most people in New Jersey would get property tax relief. They would pay a lot less in property taxes. Now, I think that if I were to support the abolition of the state income tax, I think the property taxes would be even less. In the state of New Hampshire, while the property taxes are not low, there certainly are lower in than in New Jersey, and in New Hampshire, of course, there's no state income tax or the state sales tax. So that would be my plan for New Jersey. Get the state government out of education. Now, I understand that this would require a constitutional amendment, because the Constitution of the state of New Jersey does say that it is the responsibility of the state to provide education. Nevertheless, I would reduce the power, of the state government as much as I can, and then allow people on the local level make those decisions. I don't believe in the one size fits all solutions, and the idea that I or anyone else knows what is best for students in all of the New Jersey. I think that is really asking for too much. Thank you.
Gotcha. Okay, so it sounds very much like all of your ideas fall under the same principle of decentralization, which is very generally well received in the libertarian community. You have a few holdouts on maybe a few topics here and there. So let me ask you: how long have you? When did you announce your campaign and start actually actively running?
So this would be last month,
Okay.
in March. And this is when we had the convention. So that's when I announced that I would run. I am already running ads right now. Currently, I have a TikTok ad right now. I'm trying to actively get the support right now. I'm collecting signatures, so there's a goal of 2,000 signatures. So as I'm going around the state, I'm collecting signatures, passing out my information so people would know who I am. But I do plan to continue actively, and I'm going to up the ante in terms of running ads and whether it's Facebook ads and other
Mhm.
ads as well, because I want people to know who I am. Now, of course, there's a focus on the Republican and Democratic primaries,
Mhm.
and so
Right.
I'm trying to reach out voters who are not Republican or Democrat and let them know that there is an alternative, because I believe that what I'm offering isn't just going to appeal to Republicans and Democrats. It's going to appeal to other people. I just came out just yesterday uh, with a statement that I support getting the state government out of the control of the Wharton State Forest,
Mhm.
which is located in the Pinelands. And I know that my announcement has been seen by people who are Republicans, people who are Democrats, who do agree with me that the control over the Wharton State Forest should be given to the county governments. And so I'm trying to appeal to people sort of across the political aisle.
Gotcha. So this next question, you're a bit early in your campaign, so you may have a limited answer, and that's fine. But as you've been out collecting signatures and you start talking to people who are not libertarian, so people that may not support the decentralization um, ideas that you're coming with, how has the reception been so far from non-libertarians? Has it made you had to like rethink of your strategy or how you communicate it or anything?
Well, yeah, I would say that the big issue I would say that people really respond well to is the abolition of the state sales tax.
Hmm.
The state sales tax is regressive, so it hurts people who are the working poor. So people who are less money are definitely being affected by it. So that works pretty well. In certain areas, when I say that I support deportations of ICE agents, that has a good reception as well. People are concerned certainly about the cost of living. I would say that my support for more affordable housing
Hmm.
is getting a lot of positive feedback. Generally, I would say, and this is something that I have known from last year when I ran for Congress, where I did try it. People, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, really like the idea of decentralization. They really like the idea that people at a local level can make decisions better than people uh, at a higher level, whether it's a
Right.
state government or federal government. People really like that idea. So people who are progressives, they might want to have some programs at a local level. They don't want to wait for the state or federal government.
Mhm.
People who are kind of more right wing, they would like to see sort of their policies being implemented, and they don't want to wait for the state or federal government as well. So that the idea of decentralization does really work well, and I think this is where libertarians can have even more appeal to to other people in the Republicans and Democrats with the support of decentralization. So I know you mentioned decentralization earlier, and yes, this seems to be something that whether people are Republican or Democrat, most people agree with.
Right. Well, I think one thing that it does is it gets us past that hurdle because a lot of times when libertarians say, well, the government shouldn't be doing that, which is true in many cases, um, a lot of people I think walk away with the perception that nobody's going to be providing a particular service. So if you say, hey, end public schooling or something like that, people then kind of take that to mean like I don't want any education happening whatsoever. Whereas the message of decentralization seems like it would say, okay, look, I'm not for these, but if we have to have them, let's push them to the local level. Why don't you guys figure it out in your city? So, for instance, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. Jacksonville, Florida is going to be different than say Miami, right? Even though we're in the same state, and I imagine that you have cities in New Jersey where there's a stark difference. I would assume between them, even in your own state of the same people. So yeah, I do like the message of decentralization. So you're definitely then running to win, right? This is not like, oh, I'm running to get the message out or something else. You are running to get votes and get elected, right?
Well, I am, yes. Of course, the first hurdle is to raise enough money to get into the debates,
Mhm.
and the hurdle is to get over $400,000, which is a
Mhm.
lot of money. But I'm gonna be trying to do what I can when it comes to that, and I certainly would encourage viewers. They can visit my website at vicforliberty.com. That's Vic number four, liberty.com to donate if you believe that in what I'm doing and in me trying to spread the message to the people of New Jersey. But yeah, that is definitely the goal to win. I'm going to do what I can to win, and I'm going to act um, to as if I am not as if, but
Mhm.
that I'm trying to win. So I'm trying to spread my message to as many people as I can. If I don't win, well, at least I would know that people have heard my message. And my hope would also be that if I don't win, that people would start picking up some of my ideas and making them a reality. You know, in 1997, Murray Sabrin, who was the Libertarian gubernatorial candidate, now back then the threshold was less in terms of getting into the debates, and he did get into the debates, and some of his ideas did become law. I mean, he was calling for the lowering of the speed limit from 65 miles per. I'm sorry, increasing the speed limit from 55 to 65 miles per hour. And the other thing that he was calling for is allowing for competition when it comes to auto insurance, right? So both proposals became law after he no longer, ran as governor. They were adopted by the legislature. So something good did come out of his run. Well, on top of him running for governor. So I hope that some of my ideas get picked up. I would very much want that to happen because, like I said, some of my ideas, I really believe that they would improve the lives of the people of New Jersey.
Right. How many signatures do you need to get on the ballot first?
So the minimum is 2,000, and I'm going for 4,000 to make
Right.
sure they don't get challenged. So that is the goal, and I do intend to fulfill it. Now, it's interesting that the legislature, what they did is that while in the middle of collecting signatures, they passed this bill, and Governor Murphy signed into law, raising the number of signatures from 800 to 2,000. And while people were still collecting signatures, but the legislature didn't care. They still uh, passed it, and this legislation is effective this election year, which is ridiculous. They didn't make it effective for the next election. They made it effective the very same election. So, but they've
Right.
done what I've done, and now my goal is definitely to uh, pass that threshold and get on the ballot.
Gotcha. My VA lady asked, when is this election? It's November 4th this year, correct?
Yes, yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then the primaries for the Republicans and Democrats, that's in June.
yeah, that's correct. That is in June. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So it sounds to me, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to repeat this to you, and you tell me if I've got this correct. So your number one goal is to win, which I like. I'm not really a big fan of people saying, "Oh, I'm running to spread a message." I'm like, well, you can spread a message without, collecting tons of money and whatever. We don't have to have that argument. But and then it seems like, okay, failing that, the secondary win, the measure of success would be, did any of my ideas get adopted? Right? Like, would that be fair to say that?
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. I would definitely say that would be my secondary goal. If you look at other third parties, a lot of their ideas in the past have been adopted into law, and to them, I'm sure they achieve their goals in that sense. You know, whether it's, I mean, I can list the prohibition of child labor. I mean, I can go on and on, but a lot of these ideas became adopted into law because those are the parties that became popular enough where the Republicans and Democrats decided to kind of steal their ideas to increase their support. And you can definitely see that with Ross Perot's, of course, '92 presidential campaign. There's a really great book about it called Three's a Crowd, where the Republicans appealed to Perot voters by
Mhm.
adopting his ideas, and that turned into the contract with America. And the result was that, well, many of the Perot supporters ended up voting Republican, whereas in 1990, for example, many of them voted Democratic. So that appeal worked, and the Republicans got the control of Congress in '94. Had it not been for Perot running and not running on his ideas, and the Republicans taking up those ideas, Republicans would not have got control of Congress in 1994.
Right. Okay. I like the fact that that you're looking back and you're saying, all right, here was some success in this particular campaign with the third party, and you're like, like I think this is good. It's kind of like you've done your homework to identify what are some of the ways that a third party can win in some way. So I think
Uh,
that's great. Go
could
ahead.
I apologize. Could I just 1 second? I need to do something. 1 second.
Sure.
Literally 10 seconds. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you're good. You're good. All right, folks. So we're gonna give him just a moment. In fact, we'll even just take this opportunity to go to a quick intermission since I don't have a whole lot to say at this moment, and then we'll be back here in a moment. Hey, Liberty fam, do me a favor. If you enjoy the show, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button to my channel. And for the really serious folks out there, I want you to hit that bell so that you never miss an episode. By the way, if you want to support the show, head over to libertydad.locals.com and sign up. For $5, you can be part of this show. There, I'll engage supporters of the show. We'll discuss topics that you want me to talk about, response videos that you would like to see, or anything related to the show. And I'll even have a monthly subscribers only episode. By the way, I'm always looking for dads to join me for Dad Talk. That's my series where I invite everyday dads on to talk about what's important to them in the context of being a dad. No argument, no debate, and dads choose the topic. It's my way of raising dad voices. If you're a dad or you know a dad who has something to say, let's get connected. Episodes air live on Friday mornings or Friday evenings, whichever works best for dads. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, we're back. All right, so we were talking about you've got 2,000 ballots, not ballots, but 2,000 petitions that you have to get signed. When are those due?
So they're due in June 10th.
Okay.
It's Tuesday, the same day as the primary day for the Republicans and Democrats. So now this is done so that there's no sort of loser in the state of New Jersey, where I know in some states, some people end up losing the election in the primaries and end up running in the general election as independent or some other party. We do not have that in New Jersey. So if you end up losing as a Republican or Democrat on election day in the primary, you cannot run again in the general election. So there is time. There's over a month and a half. So I'm going to be going to events. There's 2 events planned for this week, Saturday and Sunday. It is on my website, vicforliberty.com, vic4liberty.com. I also you can also see all my announcements on Facebook and Twitter, which you can access through my website, vicforliberty.com. So all these events, I'm also going to be going tonight and collecting signatures, not just for myself, but for another candidate who's running for the state assembly, because I want to support our legislative candidates as well. And I don't want to leave them hanging. And of course, I plan to get some signatures for myself. So I'm going to be going to events. There's festivals, street fairs, county fairs. My goal after I announced my candidacy was to visit all 21 counties of New Jersey, and I intend to do that. I intend to go to county fairs, street fairs. This is, what candidates do. But, I'm also aware of history, of course. Jesse Ventura's campaign in 1998, when he was elected governor of Minnesota, this is some of the things he did. And I personally have known his campaign manager, Doug Friedline. He was a great man, and there are a number of things I've learned from Ventura's campaign, and I've actually started adopting them for this state as well. Doing the data analytics, trying to see where I can get the most support. And that is important because, third parties don't have the money that Republicans and Democrats have. And so my goal was to try to get the most bang for the buck when it comes to running ads, when it comes to, trying to appeal to people, which is actually what the Republicans and Democrats do as well.
Gotcha. Okay. That all sounds great. So you're even supporting some down ballot candidates. Do you have any idea how many down ballot candidates there are, or at least I know there might be some running for really small races, but is to the best of your knowledge?
Sure. There's about 7 or 8 candidates running for the state assembly that we have. And I'm going to be supporting them. So when it comes to setting up events, I'm going to be setting up events where they're at, in the locations where they're running, so that both of us can appear at the same event. So I'm planning to support them, help them out in every way I can when it comes to collection of signatures, and in other ways as well. So yeah, we're running as a team. All of our candidates for the state legislature are running with a common platform of abolishing the state income tax. So there is a single campaign that we're all supporting, regardless of where we may stand on other issues.
Gotcha. And I assume that was something that once everybody was voted at your state convention, was that something you guys just sat down and said, all right, let's have at least one item that's consistent for all of us? Or did it just kind of come up organically?
Yeah, well, there was a discussion, and everyone pretty much agreed to go with the state income tax because that's That's something everyone can agree on.
Hmm.
And some of the other issues, maybe not so, but state income tax, yes, there's no division when it comes to this topic within the party. I mean, everyone agrees on that.
Right, right. Awesome. So the current governor, Phil Murphy, what's the worst thing that he's done that you believe, and the best thing that he's done you believe in? Tell me why.
Sure. The Governor Murphy, I think the worst thing he has done when during the pandemic, he pretty much shut down the state. I think that's the worst thing he has done when you couldn't go to other places and then you were locked down. That's the worst thing that he has done. We lost so many businesses. I understand that President Trump was the one who issued the national emergency,
Hmm.
but it was the state governors that chose to follow it.
Right.
And the responsibility lies with the governor. Doesn't just lie with the president.
Hmm.
They're all responsible for it. And so I do think that's the worst thing that he has done is shutting down the economy. So many businesses have closed down. So many people have lost money. It's it was a tragedy in the state of New Jersey, not just in New Jersey, but of course other states as
Right, right.
well. But I think the best thing actually is what he's doing right now. He has actually been pardoning some of the nonviolent offenders for that have been convicted on drug charges, and I think that's great. I just don't think he's going far enough now that he's leaving. He's leaving office. It's great that he pardoned 80 or so, but there's a lot more to go.
Hmm.
So I would actually support pardoning all people that have been convicted of nonviolent crimes. And as a governor, I do have the power of the pardon to do that. So whether people have been convicted of nonviolent drug charges or gun charges, I support pardoning all of them. And when it comes to the Second Amendment, I do think that Governor Murphy has been horrible. I would make it easier for people to have guns in New Jersey, and I wouldn't just get rid of the gun control measures that have been enacted under his governorship, but I would get rid of all of the laws that make it very difficult for people of New Jersey to own guns. People should have a right to defend themselves and protect themselves. And I think when criminals know that the people do not have that ability,
Hmm.
they're more likely to see this as an open season on the residents of our state.
Right. So I want to circle back really quickly to the topic of other candidates. So the primary is on June 10th. Do you have any idea? I looked at the list. There's a healthy list of names for both the Republican and the Democrat. Is there any? Do you have any idea of like who is likely to win, or is it going to be too close to tell right now?
Well, on the Republican side, I think that Chitterelli is going to be the likely nominee. His opponent, Bill Spidia, has been attacked by Chitterelli's campaign on sort of a flip-flopping on his stances when it comes to immigration.
Hmm.
Bill Spidia, the talk show host, has been running as this staunch supporter of Donald Trump. Well, we do know that just a few years ago he supported the pathway to citizenship, and he was not in favor of building a physical wall.
Hmm.
And the Chitterelli's campaign has been attacking him for flip-flopping on those positions. And according to the poll, Chitterelli is leading him hands down, probably going to beat him 2-1 or perhaps even more. On the Democratic side, it is really tough to tell. I would say that Mikey Sherrill, the congresswoman from the 11th congressional district, probably will have the upper hand. Not just she is a woman, but I think that the challenge is that the other Democrats, I think they're splitting some of the more progressive votes, and it's entirely possible that she may get in. But it's very tough to predict because so many voters are still undecided, and the difference between the candidates in terms of support, I mean, just a couple of percentage points between each. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen on election day. We have one candidate, Josh Gottheimer, the congressman from the 5th congressional district, who's sort of running on this campaign. I'm going to cut your taxes. He doesn't really explain how he's going to do that without cutting spending, but I'm just going to cut your taxes, period. In the state of New Jersey, by law, we're supposed to have a balanced budget. So the idea that you can just cut taxes and not fund it through any kind of spending cuts, and it's just ludicrous. But yeah, we have a number of different candidates. I will say that among the Democratic candidates, I would say that the mayor of Jersey City, Steve Fulop, probably has the most detailed campaign platform on his website among all the Democratic candidates. He is,
Okay.
I would say, is the darling of the progressives. But yeah, we'll see who's going to win the Democratic primary.
Gotcha. Okay. What have we missed? That maybe because like I was looking at your, it says Vic Kaplan supports, and there's quite a list here of things. Obviously, we can't talk about them all, but is there anything that we've missed that is really important for people to know about you or your campaign or Libertarian Party? I'm sorry, the New Jersey Libertarian Party. Like, I want to make sure we cover everything in case I've forgotten to ask you something.
Right. Well, I would say, and this is something that I guess I can not doesn't pertain to this gubernatorial election, but this topic does come up. It is a federal issue, and but it does come up when it comes to the state. So one of the things that has been going on is that when it comes to the war to the conflict in Gaza, is that there have been attempts in the state of New Jersey to restrict free speech, and there has been a bill that is now on governor's desk. It's A 4652 that would essentially prohibit protest that where people feel upset or they have a reasonable there's a reasonable belief that some people will be inconvenienced.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that is an attempt to ban protest. And every single one of the legislators in New Jersey voted for it. That's Republicans and Democrats. Everyone voted for it. And to me, this is an attempt to abolish the First Amendment, abolish the right of protest. So this legislation is now on Governor Murphy's desk. He has to decide whether to sign it or not. But given that every Republican and every Democrat voted for it, there's more likelihood than not that he will sign it. I hope he does not, because this will effectively kill the First Amendment in the state of New Jersey. And I understand that this has some of it has to do with what's been going on last year with the student protest and whatnot. I want to fight this every step of the way. There's also legislation to the IRA proposal to basically define the anti-Semitism as including the criticism of the Israeli government, which I believe would effectively ban protests and criminalize them. So I want to make sure that I'm on the record that I'm opposed to this type of legislation. If you're allowed to criticize the United States government and state government and local government, you should be able to criticize foreign government. The idea that you can criticize U.S. government, but you cannot criticize foreign government, that's totally ridiculous.
Right.
I'm totally against any kind of loyalty oath that we already have in the state of New Jersey, where you're promising not to boycott Israeli products. That's just ridiculous. You should be free to buy or not to buy products from other countries. I mean, I'm from Ukraine originally, and we have products from Ukraine, Russia. People can free to choose to buy or not to buy them, but to make it try to make it a crime or try to restrict one's ability to do that. I think that is absolutely ridiculous. It's a violation of the First Amendment. It's completely ludicrous that this is happening. I'm just bringing up a topic that is sort of goes outside of the state of New Jersey. I understand that this type of legislation has been enacted into law in other states, cities too, and this is just horrible.
Yeah. Jacksonville has something like that.
Yeah, and this is just we shouldn't have that. This shouldn't even be debatable. Unfortunately, this is the reality. I'm going to fight tooth and nail to support and enforce the First Amendment in the state of New Jersey. If I were governor and the legislature were obviously they already passed it, I would definitely veto this legislation. A 4652 that bans protest if someone is going to be upset. Well, anyone is going to be upset at this. And I totally understand why the Republicans and Democrats would support this, because of course they feel like it's going to benefit them, either the Republicans or Democrats. That's how even on the federal level, if you look at it, all the power ended up in the hands of the president, because each side thinks that, well, we're going to support this legislation because it's going to benefit their party. That's why you have both parties supporting the same type of legislation. And then people are wondering, why the president of the United States is now acting almost like a dictator. Well, it's the Congress that granted all this unlimited power to the president, reneged on its own constitutional responsibilities, to follow the Constitution, and instead gave all that power illegally to the president. And now they're wondering why the president has all this power. Well, Congress is the one that gave it to him. So, the same thing is happening on the state level. I want to reduce the power of the governor. I want to make sure that after I'm said and done, and we receive achieve the no state sales tax or income tax, but we can have a governor who is a part-time governor. I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to reduce the size of government to a point where the governor has very little to do. Probably is going to meet up a number of places. I mean, I don't want people to become governors for the money.
Right. So let me ask you then, because a moment ago you were talking about decentralization. And so if we're talking about, and this, we'll kind of put this in a more theoretical, since there's already a bill out there and presumably it's going to pass. But if you were the governor and a bill came, you would veto it, which I presume that they would have an opportunity to override the veto. But then what if, like, you said, okay, well, I'm vetoing it, and then it didn't get overridden. And so then not states, but local communities decided to enact their own version of that same bill. Would you, as governor, support something that says, no, you can't do that? Or would you say, look, I'm just going to keep it with the decentralization? How do you handle that?
No, well, that is a good question. I presume you're referring to the banning of protests.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that when it comes to the First Amendment has to do with all of the United States. It doesn't just cover one state. It doesn't cover one municipality. So yes, I would try to get the courts to get involved and rule to prohibit the bans on protest because this is not. I can talk all I want about how I do not certainly want to force my morals and values on everybody else, and how I do believe in centralization. But the United States Constitution is quite clear about certain things, and that the Bill of Rights does cover the entire United States. So while I do support decentralization, I would definitely want the courts to get involved and try to, not give, for people to retain the right to protest, a right that's given to them by the Constitution. And if the local governments want to say no to that, yes, I would definitely oppose that. The same way that the Constitution is not something where local governments can restrict the rights of African Americans or other groups. The Constitution covers the whole United States, not just some state or municipality. So I would try to enforce the U.S. Constitution every step of the way.
Gotcha. Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I'm going to wish you luck. Give you the final word. Make sure you let people know how they can find you, where they can donate, all that good stuff. And then I will be sure to add that into the show notes, folks, so that you can go and just click on it and get to him right away, whether it's his website, his Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, what have you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to speak to your viewers. My website is vicforliberty.com. That's Vic number 4, liberty.com. If you believe in what I stand for, you believe that the message of liberty should be spread to the people of New Jersey so that as many people in our state can hear this message, please go to my website at vicforliberty.com. That's Vic number 4, liberty.com. Contact me. If you live in New Jersey, you can volunteer for my campaign. You can, sign up to my Facebook. You can like me, my Twitter. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear them from you. You can contact me through my website if you have any suggestions, any ideas. I understand that other people have maybe have run for office or have some ideas they'd like to share. I would love to hear from them, and I'm very excited, and I'm looking forward to running this campaign and hearing back from all of you who are watching this show. Thank you again.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on, and I'll try to reach out come November and just kind of, or maybe even earlier, and see where things are. We'll just kind of do a little follow up, maybe right before, just to kind of see how excited you really are, or if politics took a toll on you. So, but good luck, sir, in your run, and hope you can, at a minimum, that you can get some of your ideas spread out there. And of course, we always want to see libertarians win. So thank you so much for joining. I'm going to go ahead and close the show out. And you got you have a good day as you go about your day today, sir.
Thank you. You as well. Thank
All right.
you.
All right, folks. There you have it. Vic, what was that again? Vic4Liberty.com. VIC, the number 4, Liberty.com. Go there. But for now, I'm out. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this episode informative and inspiring. Be sure to catch me Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. for an informed discussion on politics and culture. Make sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel, or if you prefer my Rumble channel, you can go to youtube.libertydad.com, or you can go to rumble.libertydad.com. While you are there, let me know how I'm doing by leaving me a comment. You can also become part of the community by heading over to libertydad.locals.com. Remember, if you're a champion of liberty, your business is people and your product is liberty. I want you to have a great week. Catch you next time. But for now, I'm out.